Do you want a banana? Really? Oh. 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 Okay.
Don't forget to subscribe.
I don't think I've made a video on ego. This is something really important actually, but I don't think I've really touched on it. And lately I've had a few guys reach out to me that just assumed because of my age I didn't know what I was talking about, because it was kind of this black pill sort of mentality. I'm a young guy in my 20s, so therefore I know everything. I'm a young guy in my early 30s, so therefore I know everything. Well, why do you need coaching, and why am I getting better success than you, even though I'm double your age? The most common thing that I notice amongst guys that are unsuccessful in life is that they have a big ego and they talk a big game, and they're easily hurt. Their ego is easily offended. They're really easy to get angry and talk a big game, even though they don't have the real success to back it up. You'll notice that in life, where the guys that are the most humble quite often have the largest amount of success, and that comes from a lot of failure. The more failure you have, the more you realize how difficult it is out there to survive in the world, and how every time you try, you're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to fail, and that breeds, that makes men humble. And when you notice a guy that doesn't talk a big game, let's just say on YouTube you have someone over exaggerating their results and having flashy marketing and making out that they are all that, there's a very good chance that that comes from ego and insecurity, because they are not actually doing what they profess to do online. This is why people talk about, you'll notice that a lot of guys, they have massive egos, but when you go to the absolute pinnacle, those guys have failed. And the more they have failed and the more they've stepped up to another level, they then reach another level with a whole new range of successful people on that level. And they start out as a big fish in a small pond, then they step up another level, then they realize that they're the small fish in a big pond, and there's big fish in there that are far more successful than them in whatever their chosen endeavor is. That breeds humbleness, if that's the word, but they become humble because of that. They learn, they're constantly learning that there's always someone better than them. There's always someone more successful than them. There's always someone that is on another level. And that is so valuable, because those guys then, they have their ears open, they're willing to listen, they're open to new ideas, they're always striving to improve themselves, and they're more likely to listen instead of talk. They're more likely to take on new ideas instead of just constantly giving new ideas. They're constantly open to new ideas and willing to try new things, because they're fully aware of where they stand, and when they step up to the next level, they're going to be an even smaller fish in a bigger sea. And this makes men a lot more humble and less likely to big note themselves. So this is very much related to game, where you'll have guys that will talk a big game, and I met up with one recently that talked a massive game, and we went out clubbing, and he goes, "We need to drink." I was like, "Hey, what do we need to drink?" Because he didn't have the confidence to drink when he was sober, so he gets absolutely wasted. And I say, hey, look, there's a group of girls over there. We're coming. You coming? Come on. You coming? He goes to a bottle of scotch and starts drinking the scotch for confidence to come over. But earlier on in the night, he was talking a massive game about how he gets 11s and how successful he is, yet he couldn't even go over and say hello to a few girls in the club. And I've got dinner now with one of the girls I met in the club last night, and I helped one of my wings meet a girl who has over 900,000 followers on TikTok, and he's working out tonight or tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure where they're at with that date, while the guy with the big ego, who was probably a big fish in a tiny pond, realized last night that he's a tiny fish in a massive sea. And that only came from what I would argue is the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is an amazing way to look at the world. Is you don't know what you don't know, and if you have only a surface level understanding of anything, you think you know everything. But the more you research a certain topic and dig deeper on said topic, you go down a rabbit hole and you realize, oh wow, there's a whole nother aspect of this, what I thought was a simplistic topic. There's a whole nother aspect to it that I need to learn. And then you go down another rabbit hole, you realize there's a whole encyclopedia. You can Google for hours going down another rabbit hole, all related to this one niche that you thought you knew everything about. And that's cold approach. A lot of guys, they can't cold approach. A lot of guys that have been doing it a long time still haven't got good at cold approach. And mostly that is their ego holding them back, I would argue. Ego is holding men back. It also prevents men from taking action because they don't want to embarrass themselves. When one of the foundations of cold approach is you get rejected far more times than you have success, far more times. And that's also a learning process, which people talk about. It's quite common knowledge, but more importantly, it makes you humble. It gets rid of your ego. You start to care a little bit less about what people think about you around you, especially people you don't know, and you learn to go after what you want in life. So this ego is often holding a lot of you guys back. You're afraid that people are going to judge you for getting rejected, therefore you don't go for what you want, then you get angry, then you start talking a big game to try and overcompensate for your lack of results, and you end up going nowhere. What you need to do is you need to get to the point where you're just angry with your results. You are angry with your situation in life to the point where you're willing to take the required action. Stop caring what people think, because you're going after what you want and that will improve your life. You have to get to that point. A lot of men do, some men don't. Don't be one of those men that don't. So that's today's message. Pretty simplistic message. I haven't really covered ego before. There's a lot of egos out there. There's a lot of men out there that don't have any success, that have massive egos, unwarranted egos. Try to squash that ego. It will improve your life. And if you've got a massive ego, all you have to do is wait until you start running out of time and get so angry that you have to squash that ego yourself. Quite often, you'll just end up being that old 40 to 50, 60-year-old man sitting in the bar, having a beer with a bunch of other old men, discussing that one time that you met a girl in a nightclub and you got laid. And that was your go-to story that you're still telling 20 years later, because really, you're just a loser. That's where most men end. Don't be one of those men. I'll see you guys in the next video. Top link in the description. Check out my website. Sign up to get some coaching with me to prevent yourself being one of those losers with a massive ego that is just holding themselves back. See you guys later.